Welcome back to the I Don't Have Time to Work podcast. On this week's episode, we've actually got 3 guests, so we try to pack in as much as we possibly could to give you all the value we could present to you. We spoke to Benn from the Daily Touch of Class. He's a men's fashion style consultant. We spoke to Sonny from 856. He's a live music archivist and all-around good guy. And we also spoke to Koot-sie. He's a long-time follower and also a music producer. So first up, we've got Benn from A Daily Touch of Class. Now this guy is a fast talker, he's a mover, he's a shaker, he's a grinder, he's a hustler. Dude knows how to wear a suit. He knows how to tell you how to wear a suit. And Troy had a chat with him while he was on the road. So it was really, really cool hearing from this guy. So I hope you enjoy.
Hey, Benn, how are you,
mate? Guys. Hello. How you going?
How are you, man? Thanks, East, for joining us, mate, and thanks for taking time to talk to us in your busy schedule, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Just in between a few meetings today, so I'm just in the car running to the next one.
Awesome, man. That's awesome, mate. Look, honestly, I'll be really quick where we started. Found you on Instagram, mate. Found you on Instagram, mate, through a lady called Hannah Carlson, who you've been chatting to, and man, it's been mate. I literally just reached out, and she spoke to me about yourself and was saying how you're kicking real goals and kicking ass over here in Australia, and we should
great.
Contact you and connect with you, man. So
here
we are.
Well, thanks for reaching out. Yeah, that's great feedback.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And she was telling us a bit about your business. So, mate, look, just really quickly for anyone who's joined from Benn's side, who don't know what we do, my name's Troy from I Don't Have Time to Work. We interview and talk to business owners and entrepreneurs worldwide. And today joined by Benn from Daily Touch of Class. And I guess, look, mate, the Instagram page is blowing up. Your Instagram page is blowing up, mate. You're kicking some real goals, mate. I'd love to just hear a bit of the background about the business.
All right. Well, I guess firstly, from my perspective, I don't classify myself as an entrepreneur. I'm way too small for that. I kind of look up to the big guys and the ones running million-dollar companies and think, yes, they're the genuine article. I mean, there's a lot of people out there these days that we'll start something minor and then they'll start claiming entrepreneur this, entrepreneur that, and then I think that word gets used way too loosely in today's world. So for me, I'm definitely trying remain quite humble and definitely don't associate myself as an elite sort of entrepreneur. But I guess in essence, what I have done is basically just started sort of a blog / business / website out of just something I love, the men's fashion industry, and I feel like that's probably the core and the crux of anyone's. So when we started, I just I was wearing sort of suits on the daily to and from work, and I just thought I want to sort of document this and showcase a little bit. And so rather than flood my personal feed, I sort of thought, all right, let's create this page, and I brainstormed a few ideas in my head for a name, and then away I went and basically just kept going. So from there, I just kind of took it out, started documenting sort of what I was wearing, who I was wearing, who I was working with, and then it sort of just went from there. And like I said, just something you're passionate about, I put my heart and soul into it, and it's sort of grown over the last year or so. So it's sort of it is doing okay, yeah, definitely. So for those that don't follow, jump on Instagram, Daily Touch of Class, hit it up, say hello.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I can attest and confirm that you do say hello back. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So you said about you had the personal page and you didn't want to kind of fill that up, and then so you started the business page and that kind of thing. And was this something that you always wanted to do? Or was it something that you just kind of like you really enjoyed and just felt and you just felt it was the right thing to do?
No, deep down, I just knew that, sort of I'd always had to do something for myself. There's nothing worse than sort of being hamstrung by organisations, people around you, that sort of stuff. And I always knew that the greatest satisfaction in life comes from, doing things for yourself, grinding for yourself, making waves, and it's all because of your own efforts and your own achievements. So, that certainly was a big driver behind it. And honestly, there's nothing more satisfying than when you actually do kick some goals and make
Yep.
something that you've just done yourself. And
Yep.
look, this only just begun. There's a lot of things on the horizon that we're pushing for, both online and in the physical world too. So it's something that I've always had a dream of doing, and whether it was, with this or with another sort of business, it's something that I've always been passionate about. So I think having that as a starting foundation was something that was always sort of underlying with me anyway. So that's been I suppose some of the driving forces is having that passion, that willpower to sort of do your own thing, and that certainly helped me a lot.
Awesome. That's really cool, man. And how have you found it? I guess your previous businesses and things like that, or any other things that you've done before this, was it in any way kind of along the lines of what you're doing now online, or were they more like your old school,
Yeah, look,
actual brick and mortar businesses?
no, well, I mean, I think what I've done previously in the past, and they've only been very small sort of things, but I have done sort of provided services for various things, and I did a bit of import export sort of stuff when I was competing in powerlifting, and I just noticed there was a gap in the market for a few products that I was trying to source, and so rather than continue to source them overseas, I just imported a heap of them and started selling them here in Australia. Now, obviously, I got out of that game, so I sort of stopped doing that, and my career's kind of taken off a bit more. So I do a full-time job plus I do this on the side. So the schedule is very hectic. It's like 2 full-time jobs every day, all day, Monday to Sunday, doesn't stop. So they were in a different vein. They were sort of semi-online based, but they were more products. This is more of like a service and advertisement.
Awesome, that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
And what, so I guess, like, for those people that are listening out there, like, who are thinking this kind of thing, and they're like, I'd love to be able to promote my business online, see what I'm doing, that kind of thing. What's the kind of what's the kind of advice that you would give them, I guess, to start off and get going?
That what you just said is actually the key. Start and get going.
Yeah,
That is crucial. Number one. These sort of decisions, you just can't think about them too much. You just have to get in and get it done and just start. And the more you think about it, the more ideas you'll have, or the more concerns that you'll raise, that your reasons why you can't do it. You just have to cut all that out, just start it. And simple as that. Once you have started, I found that associating yourself with, similar / like-minded pages, businesses, bloggers, etc., is a great way to kind of network and expand your horizons a little bit, both leverage off their skills and their, experiences and stuff that they've been able to learn and stuff that they've been able to, teach you is obviously very valuable, but also it helps kind of expand you to that whole scene a bit more as well. That's definitely one. And then, just stay true to your brand. Like, I see a lot of people that become sort of, sellouts to whoever will pay or whoever will do this, and then they sort of lose that. They really lose sort of what's true to their core, and I think that unauthenticity comes across quite loudly these days. People can spot it a mile away, and then that's the first way to sort of kill your progress. So for me, it's certainly been, staying true and staying, aligned with my core, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things that people then do get lost with.
Yeah, that's all, and that's great. That's a great piece of advice, and you touched on it there, and you mentioned it before. How important is the networking side to you, mate?
Look, I find it very important because while a lot of things happen online, that face-to-face interaction is quite valuable, and people do underestimate it. I think that there's a lot of value to be had from those interactions, both even if it's that not one-on-one, but someone else can connect you with someone else that they know, and so on and so forth. So that networking, that word of mouth, that repeatability is huge. And I don't think that just applies to sort of people like me, like influencers. It applies across the whole spectrum. So the more you can do that, the more you put a face behind the brand, behind the name, it creates that personal connection, and people can definitely associate themselves with that. And there's a lot of value there.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, mate. I know you're on a tight schedule there, so we'll wrap it up now. Just have one more question for you, mate.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
And really quickly, for those who join, I'm Troy from I Don't Have Time to Work, talking to Benn from Daily Touch of Class. So make sure I'll pin the message there. So make sure you go and follow Benn as well. And likewise the other way, if you want to hear some more interviews and connections with entrepreneurs worldwide. Mate, what is that one piece of advice that you've had going through your career, and especially starting your own business, your online thing? What is that one piece of advice that's kind of stuck with you? I know you mentioned before about the, just going out there and doing it. Is there something else that's kind of like stuck with you?
Oh, there's a lot of things that have stuck with me. and trying to think of the top one
Yeah,
is
put you
hard
on the
because
spot.
yeah, and I mean so many of them ring true, and so many of them you look back on day to day, and I think for me, look, if anything, I really I seek inspiration from others around me. So while there's been advice, bits and pieces here and there, what has driven me the most is the people around me that are just kicking goals and that are just striving, and I'm just like, wow, that's a big inspiration for me, and that's a big motivator, and I think that's probably what's helped me along the way. In terms of advice, I mean, the thing is, there's so many people out there that'll give you advice, and there's so many people out there that probably don't know where the advice comes from. Online especially, people will give you all kinds of advice. Everyone's an expert, so I tend to take things with a bit of a grain of salt. But persistence and tenacity is certainly probably the keys there, right? Like when the going gets tough, a lot of people then they throw the towel and they quit, right? Or it's too hard to keep going. And everyone will plateau no matter what business or what cycle of life. You'll always have plateaus, and it's those plateaus and those tough areas where you just grind and push through is where you get the breakthroughs. And I think if you just keep grinding and keep pushing through a plateau, that's probably the one thing that's helped me. Like in your career, in my lifting career, everything, you just have to push through those plateaus, and then through that, you'll find something that is just gold, and you'll have a breakthrough.
That's where the huge rewards are.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't quit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really quickly, just before we wrapped up, I know Matt, who's one of our followers, he's just asked, have you had any sports teams actually hit you up for suits for their teams at all? Or advice, I guess, or any advice or anything like that?
Yeah, look, I've definitely done style consulting, and I still do. So anyone that does want any style consulting, definitely hit me up in the DM. I certainly get a lot of messages about it, but no specific teams in general per se. So yeah,
cool.
But in saying that, I work with a tailor in Brisbane, and he sponsors the Brisbane Bullets, the basketball team. He's an ex-basketballer, absolute legend. Will Vella, worth checking him out. He does a lot of stuff for the basketballers, and he's obviously used me for various style consultations as well. So
cool.
That's about the biggest.
That's good. No, that's all right. That's all right. I know Matt. He's one of our followers. He's a massive sports fan, so he probably just had that that question in there. But
love the sport.
That's oh man, we're Australian. I think it's just building our genes, isn't it? So
yeah, 100%.
But look, thanks so much, Ben, for joining us today, mate. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome, man. And look, hope we might even catch up again in the future. We'll definitely rip this video and we'll get it up on the podcast. So look, if someone listens to this and they're at that point in their career, or they might be just trying to get to that point, it's really good to hear from different people, because often you hear about these huge people on social media that have millions of followers, and people think, I can never get to that level, But some of those things you've said, mate, are exactly what it is. Like, you grind through those plateaus, and there's always that kind of reward at the end. Yeah, definitely. That's right. Awesome. Ben, thanks so much for joining us, mate. Appreciate it. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. You too. Take care. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Isn't he one of the sharpest cats you've ever seen? I mean, the dude is like... He's on it. You've got to go and follow him. Make sure that you follow him at Daily Touch of Class on Instagram. Links will be down below in the podcast and also in the YouTube video. Next up, I spoke to... Now, I was quite nervous about this one. I spoke to Sonny from Hate56. Now, Hate56 is a YouTube channel that I've been following for quite a few years. Being a metal, punk and hardcore fan, I'm always on YouTube, like listening to new bands and checking out like live videos from bands that haven't necessarily come out to Australia. Now Sonny, he is a live music archivist, so he goes out and records videos for hardcore and metal bands all around his area. And he also brings back to life old footage that people send to him, and he digitally remasters them. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever spoken to online, and I was really nervous to talk to him because I look up to him a lot when it comes to his style of editing and all that kind of stuff. So I really, really hope that you enjoyed this chat with him. Here he is, Sonny from Hate56. Cool. All right, so Sonny, once again, thank you for joining us. Firstly, tell us a bit about yourself and how Hate56 came to be.
Yeah, so I'm 32 years old. I grew up in New Jersey. I'm currently living in Philadelphia, so I'm born and raised on the East Coast in America. I've been going to shows since I was in high school, so since around like 99, 2000. It started off as it started off in like 2000, 2001. I began filming my friends' bands because I wanted to get involved in the small punk scene that we were involved in. So I picked up a camera and I thought, like, well, I'll just start filming these bands. And I didn't really have an idea about what I would do with that footage because this was before YouTube and before internet video. So I kind of just started filming thinking that maybe one day I'll be able to do something with these videos. But so I did that for a couple of years until like 2003. Then I kind of just stopped because there was really no outlet to do anything with that footage. So 2004, I went to college, studied math and computer science. That'll be a little bit relevant later. And when I was in college, I started investing in a slightly higher end camera. So it must have been 2006 or 2007. I bought like a slightly nicer camera, and YouTube was becoming a thing. So I thought, let me try filming shows again. So 2007, I started to get my feet wet with it. 2008, I graduated college, and I was looking for a computer science job somewhere. And so in between college and starting my first job, I decided to build a site. So I said, let me just teach myself some new technology. Let me build a website. So I built what is currently, the original version of 856, which was just a central location where all the videos would live with a search engine and basically a central repository where people could come and go and search and watch the videos. So by spring of 2009, YouTube was taking off and my videos were getting much more traffic. So that's when I started to spend much more time doing it. So from about spring 2009 up until January 2018, I was basically working in tech 9 to 5. And that was supplementing my real passion, which was coming home and filming bands and then also editing footage and putting the videos out there for people to watch. So 856 has become a resource where people can either watch for the first time live footage of bands they've never seen, or they can come and relive footage of shows that they've attended. And so it's become a resource where people can go back in time and see how bands have grown. They can discover new bands and things like that. So this past January, I was laid off from my 9 to 5, and I said, let me try doing this full time. Basically, the 9 to 5 was always, I really enjoyed working in tech for the most part, but really all it was doing was sustaining my real passion, which is doing 8x6. So in January, I just decided to take the jump and let me just try doing this. It might fail, but I won't know unless I try. So I'm about like 4 months into this, and I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing right now.
Absolutely perfect. And you're basically now sustaining your income, I guess you would say, through the Patreon. Yeah. So I launched a Patreon in March. So I have basically that is sustaining me, and I'm getting a little bit from YouTube as well. Basically, the YouTube is barely enough to cover just like basic expenses for running the site, because there's expenses for hosting fees and buying hard drives, upgrading camera equipment, paying for admission to shows, paying to travel to shows. Like, these are things that I still pay for. So the YouTube is covering some of that, and I decided to launch a Patreon just so I can keep food on the table, keep the roof over my head, and not have to worry about paying those bills. So I'm about 4 months into it, and I think there's still a lot of room to grow. Yeah, perfect. So I'll just touch on how I got involved, like with watching 856. I'm a hardcore metal fan. I've been into hardcore since I was about 13. In Australia, we don't get a great deal of bands coming out, especially when it comes to like the kind of mid to smaller bands like your Martyr AD and like, we have bands like Bleeding Through who come out, and then like bigger like metalcore bands like the Acacia Strain and things like that do come out. But the smaller bands just don't really come here. And if they do, they come here once. No one goes to see them, and they'll never come back again, kind of thing. Right. I'm always enjoying like seeing live bands, and you have an amazing ability to capture the creative live essence of a band, especially when you're doing like the metal and hardcore festivals. You somehow find a way to capture the energy and put it directly into a YouTube video. I find it incredible.
Yeah, I appreciate that. For me, it's like, when I first started, it was just, getting up there and pointing the camera at the band. And after doing that for 10 years, I began to develop like sort of aesthetic in my head and in my, like, what I want a video to look like. I want the video to feel like you're actually there. A video is never going to replace being at the show, and I don't want it to replace it coming to the show. But I feel like after doing it for 10 years, I started to develop like an aesthetic in terms of how I want to convey to the audience that this is what it was like, at least from my perspective, what it was like to see these bands. So that has definitely steered the way, sort of the way I film things and the way I edit. So a band has a very chaotic set where people are stage diving left and right, and the band's thrashing around. That's going to have a lot of fast movements in the video, because I feel like that complements what the music at that moment in time was making me feel, and I'm trying to translate that to the viewer who's watching it on a screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to touch as well on just a couple of quick questions around the bands that you've worked with and things like that. Now, you actually restore archived band footage. I wanted to know what was your favorite archived footage that you've brought back to life?
Yeah, that would definitely be the June 28th. So it actually just turned 28 years old. It was the June 28th, 1990 set from Inside Out. So Inside Out played a show 28 years ago, last month, at this venue called Unisound in Reading, Pennsylvania, not far, maybe a couple hours from Philadelphia. That was probably the most meaningful restoration I've done, because I remember a very, very terrible quality version of that video surfaced on YouTube maybe 10, 11 years ago. And Inside Out is the band that got me into sort of hardcore and also got me really interested in live recording. So that video has always existed, but last year, the person who actually filmed that show reached out to me and said, "Hey, I found the original recording. If you want to digitize it and clean it up, I'd love to have you do that and put it on your site." So he graciously sent it to me, and I handled it with such care. I mean, this for me is like a piece of history. You know, this is a video that I watched online. It's one of my favorite bands, and so it was a true honor to give that the tender loving care that I felt like it deserved. And for me, that was like bringing things full circle. Like this was the band and one of the videos that got me into sort of live recordings, and to be able to work on the actual original like medium meant a lot. So I think that's definitely up there in terms of my most cherished pieces. But I mean, every day people are sending me and reaching out to me saying like, "Hey, I've got these tapes." So it's crazy. It's the more I put out there in terms of archival footage, the more people reach out to me saying like, "Hey, I just dug up a box of tapes that I filmed 15, 20 years ago. Do you want them?" So I think that there's definitely a huge, I sort of think of it as like an iceberg. Like what we see on YouTube is like the what's above the surface, but there's so much more below the surface that we don't know, because people just have it sitting in boxes up in their attic, in their basement. So I think that there's still probably a treasure trove out there, and I'm hoping to find and uncover more of it.
That's actually a question that I was going to ask with the archival footage. When you were like starting to basically fix up archive footage, were you reaching out to other people, or were people coming to you with the footage, or how did that first work?
Yeah, I think that, I'm trying to remember. I mean, so people were coming to me initially saying like, "Hey, I know you film a lot of shows. Do you have the resources to do this?" I think I had maybe offered some people like, "Oh, I know that you are sitting on some stuff. I'm happy to take it from you." Probably one of the bigger breaks I got was 4 or 5 years ago. So back in the early 2000s, there was a big fest in the States called Hellfest. Not the one that's happening in France these days, but it was American fest called Hellfest. That there was, DVDs came out for the first couple of years, but basically for the years 2001 and 2004, nothing was ever surfaced, because there was a lot of issues that the production company couldn't do anything with it. So all that footage basically sat in the producer who filmed it and oversaw everything. All that footage sat in his attic for like 10, 15 years or something crazy like that. So he reached out to me saying like, "Hey, I watch 856 all the time. I want you to," he's like, I don't want these tapes anymore. Like, people are like harassing me for them. I want, like, if you want them, you can work on them and give it like the care that you, that I know you can handle. So he gave them to me, and I there's literally like 70 some bands, at least from 2004. It's like Andrew WK, Under Oath, like there might be Bleeding Through. There's all these bands in their prime in like 2004. And so I got maybe 5 or 6, 7 of those videos edited, because it's crazy. There's each band, like I said, there's like 70 some bands. Each band has 5 to 7 camera angles, and none of it's edited. So I have a box of 500 tapes that I have to basically digitize in real time and then edit them in real time. So I got a couple of them done, and again, this was during the time when I was trying to also work a 9 to 5. But now that I'm doing Hey 56 full time, I'm able to finally spend more time on getting that stuff done. So I have I've actually kicked off a couple projects now, working on more of the Hellfest restoration work.
Awesome. Hellfest, like the American version of the Hellfest festival, was one of the first like live hardcore festivals I ever saw.
You actually flew here for that?
No, through YouTube.
Oh.
So like
through YouTube, okay.
Through YouTube, yeah. Essentially, I grew up like listening to metal, and I wasn't really as exposed to the hardcore scene until I saw Hellfest videos. Essentially,
yeah.
Now I want to touch on a few more things of your favorite stuff. So, like, what was a favorite band that you've recorded?
I get that question a lot, and it definitely changes. Like, just this past weekend, I filmed a band for the first time, and it was amazing. This band called Escuela. It's a power violence grindcore band, and that was just a lot of fun. But just some of the bands, like I really liked filming Mindset. That was a band that I filmed maybe 40 sometimes, and so I definitely developed like an intuition for capturing them in a certain way. So that was always fun. I mean, to no one's surprise, Vane is always fun to film. They've been on the rise, and their crowd reactions are getting more and more like volatile. So that's a lot of fun to film as well. But yeah, I mean, really, like besides that, what I really like is I like filming a band for the first time and having that feeling like, holy shit, this is like blowing my mind, and that I'm like, I know that I'm capturing them in a certain way that is hopefully true to their performance.
Cool, excellent. And is there a band that you haven't worked with yet that you'd love to work with?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've always wanted to film Iron Age. They're like more of like a thrash. If you know like Power Trip, if you're not familiar with Iron Age, it's very similar to like Power Trip. I think heavily influenced Power Trip, I should say. They're a band that I've never actually filmed, and I don't think I've ever seen them somehow. They've been around for a very long time. So they're sort of on my bucket list of bands to shoot. Yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind. I mean, I get a hit up every day. Every day people are asking me, can you film my band? We're coming through Philly, or can you come out and film from our show? So as much as I have like a personal list of bands I love to film, I'm always excited when new bands want me to film them. So that's like, maybe that's like a cheesy answer, but I think that's also just the spirit of Hate 56. The spirit of Hate 56 is to help people find new music, and it's also for me to like force myself to like watch and hear new music as well. So I think hearing from those kinds of bands is like the best kind of those are the best kinds of bands to film.
Speaking of discovering bands, you developed an app, an AI band recommender called Sage. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so like I said, prior to doing Hate 56 full time, I've been working in tech. My job title for the last couple of jobs I had was basically data scientist or machine learning engineer. So I was doing a lot of work building AI systems of various types. And so I started developing Sage back in August, and I have always been wanting to build some sort of tool to help people find new music, because again, that's the theme of Hate 56. People come to the site to watch videos, find new bands, and I thought it'd be much more organic to also have some sort of app that allows people to search for bands as well. So Sage is a way of learning what a band's context is, and so the best example I can give you is like if I were to say to you, I went to the blank and bought groceries. Blank is most likely what?
The mall, the grocery store, the shop, whatever it is.
Yeah. So it's most likely grocery store than it is like zoo or concert. And the reason you know that is because you've seen, like, even though you may have not seen that sentence in your entire life, you know from context that what you buy, like you buy groceries and fruits and vegetables at a grocery store.
Sure.
So what Sage is trying to do is it tries to learn what the context of a band is. So in that example I gave you, is you've basically learned the context of words based off of the words that are around them. And Sage isn't. I built Sage in a way that it learns what the context of bands are based off of what bands are like in the neighborhood around them. So you can tell Sage, hey, I like bands A, B, and C, and it'll tell you, okay, maybe you should listen to bands X, Y, and Z. Those are in the neighborhood. They're contextually similar to those bands that you like. And you can also do things, say, like, I like bands A, B, and C, but I hate bands D, E, and F. And so Sage will basically say, okay, you like this context, but you hate this context. And it does, it basically, it's developed in such a way that it knows how to take certain things and remove others and learn what the new context is, basically.
That's really cool. And is that based on what other people are listening to through the app, or is that just completely to do with the actual the sonics of the bands?
Yeah, no. So I'm not. As of right now, I'm not doing any sort of acoustic analysis. It's all based off of data on Last.fm. So for anyone who's watching who doesn't know what Last.fm is, Last.fm is a site where it tracks what you're listening to. So I can create an account, you can create an account, and anytime you play a song or you listen to something, it'll update for you and say, oh, you listened to this track 10 times today. And so what Last.fm does is they track listening habits across millions of people. So basically, I downloaded their data and I trained Sage to learn from all that data. Basically, you would expect that if you're analyzing listening habits across millions of people, certain patterns are going to emerge. People who listen to Bad Brains might also listen to Minor Threat, and they might not listen to, some other random non-horrorcore band, for example. So Sage is basically saying, okay, let's take all this data from millions of users and let's try to learn aggregate listening habits across all these people, and then let's then whenever someone asks Sage a question, it then take what it has learned from the millions of people and then answers the query that they issue.
That's really cool. I often find bands through your page, through the Hate 56 page. One of my favorite bands of all time I found through you guys is Code Orange. I was fortunate enough to actually catch them when they came through my local town. And I remember watching them on stage. They were on a fairly small stage, and there was people stage diving and things like that. And I remember thinking, whilst watching them, Sonny from Hate 56 captured them perfectly through their live video, because it's exactly like being there, kind of thing. Another way that I find bands is through Spotify. So through the algorithm, like say I go into the Slayer profile, I always check what bands are similar. So it's really, really great to find an app that allows you to do that without having to go through like Spotify or any of those big kind of machines.
Yeah.
I understand that there's some apps that you are developing through the Hate 56 and through the Patreon, so people will have exclusive access or early access to them if they are giving money to you through Patreon. Is there any apps that you're able to tell us about that maybe you're developing at the moment?
Yeah, so I have two apps currently on the site. So if you're watching a video on Hate 56, at the bottom of the video, there's two orange buttons. They're called Hate 5 GIF and Hate 5 Clips, and they're basically two apps that allow you to, you can take any video in the Hate 56 archive and create any sort of animated GIF or any sort of 15, 60-second clip that you can then post on Instagram. So it's a way for people to, let's say you found a funny stage dive or a specific moment that you're in a Hate 56 video and you want to share it with someone. You only want to share that specific clip. You can use those tools to basically extract it, and it'll be sent to you, and then you can then post it on your social media and stuff. So those two are developed and they're already out there. I have a couple rough ideas for other apps that I'm building. Nothing that's like Patreon exclusive. So one thing that I want to build out is like a set list generator. So basically, I have 3,000 videos on the site. Only a small percentage of them have set lists. And so basically right now, viewers who come to the site are encouraged to submit set lists. And so there's only a small percentage of them that actually have songs that are corresponding to every video. So I'm hoping to build a system that's very similar to Shazam that will basically try to streamline that process and do some automated set list generation. So that's not necessarily something that's going to be Patreon exclusive. That's more of like a tool that I want to build for mostly myself, just so I can have it on the back end of the site and have it, in real time, update the set lists on the site. So that's one I've been kind of like sketching out in my head, but I haven't really started working on. But besides that, I don't have anything concrete yet to talk about in terms of Patreon exclusive apps.
That's cool. Just two very quick things. I watched the Patreon video where you were just describing what you were doing, where you've been, where you're going, kind of thing. Now, you mentioned two very interesting things to me. One, the 8.56% pledge, and also that all Hate56 videos will be free to everyone through the YouTube platform. I find that incredibly inspiring, and I think that it's a wonderful thing. How important is it for you to give to charities and also give back to your community through the Hate56 project?
Yeah, so for me, I got into hardcore and punk because of the politics and sort of the potential for creating social change. I mean, you go into a show, and the fact that a show can come together without any sort of major sponsorship, it's sort of like a very organic thing where, community members are coming in to bring in the PA, and someone's doing the sound, and it's a very sort of flat hierarchy. And so I think that's very inspiring. You don't see that in a lot of communities. You go to a professional sports game, and you're treated different from the actual talent on the field. And so you go to a show, it's you could be up front singing along next to the person who's playing the headlining set. And so it's a very it sounds cheesy, but it's a very revolutionary thing to be a part of that thing. So I think that, and again, like for me, I've always been drawn towards the more political end of what hardcore and punk can provide you in terms of insight and creating dialogue. And so for me, I want to continue paying that forward by doing the 8.56% pledge and making sure that now that I'm trying to do this full time, I'm not losing sight of the fact that I'm trying to use Hate56 as a vehicle for benefiting charities and benefiting certain movements that I think are worthy of help.
Awesome. I guess also within your role taking Hate56 to a full-time position as well, like you can actually be selective. So like if there's a band that comes through that you don't necessarily relate to their political standpoint, will you be able to select whether you work with that band, or is that something that you're going to work with every band, or how are you going to run that going forward?
Yeah, so I don't agree with every band that I film. So for me, I sort of treat what I do as as political as I am. What I'm doing with Hate56 is trying to be an objective observer. I am documenting a time and place, and that might mean filming a band that has politics or views that I don't necessarily agree with. But at the same time, I don't want to be a revisionist. I don't want to take a video of a band off the site and act as if they never existed. I'd rather film a band and put the video out there, and then create a space for people to actually discuss what those politics are, what their message is. Because I think that we're sort of living in a time now where if you don't like someone or what someone says, you just block them, or you say delete me and I don't want to fuck with you anymore. And while I get that, it sort of shuts the conversation down, and there's no potential for actually having the other side learn, or having either side learn from what the issue is. So for me, as someone who's documenting a time and place, it's important to not be a revisionist and not to sort of erase bands from history or act like they don't exist. I mean, I'm not going to show up to a white power rally and film bands playing that, but yeah, it's a very fine line, and I don't know if I have a good answer, but it's very rare that I don't show up to it's very rare that I will go to a show and not film a certain band because of what they say. And again, that's mostly because I want to show that someone in the future, they might stumble upon this video of this band, and it's important for them to know that at this time and place, this band existed, and they said this thing or they believed these things, and here's how the community responded to it. And if you sort of remove that marker from the history, then someone coming in the future is not going to have any sort of reference point and to be like, oh, they're not going to be able to learn from what that band did. And they're not going to be able to learn from the mistakes that band made. And I think it's important to be able to show that in a way that, again, it's sort of trying to treat what I'm doing as more of a journalism thing than providing solely entertainment.
Yeah, sure. I completely understand that. I won't take up too much more of your time, Sonny. Once again, thank you so much for joining us on the I Don't Have Time to Work podcast. I always ask our guests this as our last question. What's one piece of advice for filmmakers or creators or entrepreneurs who are ready to take that next step into the full-time process or just getting a project off the ground?
Yeah, for me, I think the most valuable lessons have been to not be afraid to experiment. So I wasn't afraid to experiment with how, like, my shooting style, and I wasn't afraid to experiment with developing apps or trying certain things. So I think it's very important to try a bunch of things and see what works best for you. And as you start doing it, like you'll start to like carve out a groove of what works best for you. And I think that if you keep hacking at that, that's going to work in your favor. So, I mean, I've never taken a class on video editing. I'm completely self-taught, and I'm sure that there's things that I do that are completely inefficient and not the right way to do it, but it's what works for me. And I think that that learning experience is very invaluable to actually go through that process. And it's also about not being afraid to fail. I've failed a number of things with 856, trying different things, and I think that it's important to not be afraid of failure, and just know that if you do fail, then what you gain in that process, you can then use to leverage on the next thing that you try. It's always about taking what you've done and sort of gleaning what you can from that experience and trying to like build on top of that.
Awesome. Sonny, thank you so much for joining us. Just for our listeners, where can we find your Patreon and your YouTube?
Yeah, so my site is hate56. That's the word hate, the number 5, the word 6.com. It's hate56 on all social media. My Patreon is patreon.com/hate56. And if you support, you get early access to certain videos. You're basically helping me with my time to basically invest more time and more resources into doing this. So check it out. There's a lot of stuff coming. I'm starting to do more band interviews, starting to create a lot of more content outside of just the live stuff. So I'm hoping that as the Patreon picks up, it's going to be a cool resource of additional behind the scenes stuff that people will have access to.
Definitely. Sonny, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Cool. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Bye. Yeah, so that was Sonny from 856. Dude is next level intelligent. Can't believe that 856 wasn't his full-time job before. He'd been doing it for 10 years, and he'd just been doing it as a side hustle, and now he's made that step from the side hustle to going full-time. And I think that really shows how long sometimes it can actually take. It's not always just instantaneous. We look at all these people who are we look up to and we think, oh, they're really lucky, but ultimately the reality is that they've worked really, really hard, and they've probably done it as a side hustle, or they've done it as a hobby until they were able to take it to that next level. Speaking of the next level, the next person that we spoke to was Koot-sie. Now, Cootsy's been following us basically since day one, and he's always giving us so much energy. He's always giving us really nice comments, and he's liking all our stuff, and he's followed us for ages. So we found out that he was a music producer, so we wanted to talk to him about his ideas on who his favorite artists were, who he wanted to collaborate with, and basically what his goals are. Here he is, Koot-sie. Just basically introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name's Matt, also known as Koot-sie, Couttsy. I've been making music for probably since I was 11. I started guitar, and then after that I picked in the electronic scene when I was 16 and started producing and whatnot. And then I don't know, I started with Avicii, back in the day where you listen to levels over and over.
Yeah.
And I was really interested how you make that sound. It sounds really cool. And then after that I got more into the weirder stuff, like 7 Lines. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No, I'm not really familiar, but I'd love to hear it.
It's really different. He's from a metal band, actually, and he's a drummer, but he took that all away and just went into the EDM scene and made it big somehow. But I started into that, and then after I finished high school, I went to college for sound recording, and I did some sound recording in studios, and I eventually went to an art school this past year, but now I'm going back to community college because I realized the art school wasn't for me. But still making music every day and still trying to find what I really want to pursue as far as music. I do like making my own stuff, but I definitely want to start making stuff to sell to people, as far as beats, to creatives or anybody else. And I do like the marketing side of like artistry and stuff too. So
Yeah,
see where I'm going.
definitely. So you mentioned that you went to art school and stuff like that, and you've been kind of in the like creating music since you were 11. Was there a point, like a turning point for you, where you're all like, this is what I want to do? I want to be a musician as my primary kind of career, I guess you'd say.
It's funny you say that, because when I started guitar, I stopped at like 14 or 15, and that was when, like, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to do. High school. I mean, you're not really gonna know. And then later on in life, I went through this whole like incident. I was in an accident, and like I was skateboarding, and it was like a traumatic experience. And then after that, I was just like, you know what? I got a new laptop. I'm just gonna start making beats, because I always wanted to do it as a kid, but I never had the equipment to. So at that point, like I was like, this is really cool. Like I like the electronic stuff. And then I saw people performing, and I just thought, wow, like you can really change somebody's life with a song, or do something of that kind of like influence, I guess. You know, and that's really what picked up on me. I was like, wow, songs make me feel a certain way, so I can probably make somebody else feel that way.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. That's it's really a powerful thing. Yeah. Hello to everyone that's watching as well.
Yeah,
we've got.
What's up, Justin?
Yeah, I've got a couple of viewers that's sick. You know, obviously, like music moves us in such beautiful ways, and being able to create it for other people is amazing. I've got to ask you, like, you know, I've listened to quite a few of your songs through your Instagram, and I quite enjoy it. It's like it's good to listen to whilst I'm working on something, because it just kind of like just kind of plugs along. I really enjoy it. Do you have a producer or a musician or anyone like that you'd love to collab with? Maybe it's a top 5 or something like that.
Well, okay. I feel like Kendrick Lamar would be really cool. I listen to a lot of rap also.
Me too.
Kendrick Lamar is probably somebody I would love to meet, because just his story and like he's so humble. Logic would be really cool to work with. I actually saw him at BD&T over in New Jersey not too long ago. I'd say my top artist right now for like the electronic scene, number 3 would be Casbo. He tours with Odessa. He's a pretty small artist at the moment. I guess 7 Lines would be under that, and then I guess final 5. I'd have to say, I don't know. No Mana would be cool. He's a EDM. He's an EDM dude. He's on Mall Trap, and he does like all these weird, funky sounds. So
yeah, cool. Awesome, man. I guess what's next for you? Like, are you working on like an album, or you mentioned before that you're kind of trying to like market your music to other people that maybe they can use it for other things? What's the next step for you?
Right. I have at least 5 or 6 tracks like already working. I have 2 other remixes I have to put out. The one I have to work on and finish today. The other one I have to fix up. It's these 2 guys named Two Friends. They're pretty cool. The other one's for R.L. Grimes' song, a remix of his new song, I Want to Know. Other than that, as far as the future goes, I'm really just trying to build my profile as far as streaming, because I look on other people's, I'm like, holy shit, you have a ton of music. So I wanna put myself in that position where I have more content to put out. And I've also been pursuing like vlogging, podcasting, kind of like recording everything.
Yeah.
Because a person that I really follow is Gary V, and Gary always puts out like, he just vlogs everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, he does it now because he has people doing it for him, but it's just good to document everything.
Yeah, that's actually a mentality that we've taken over as well, as a part of our, I guess, DNA. We're starting to document instead of create. Because we're less creators. We're more like, we're trying to like talk to individuals like you. We want to like make sure that people have a pedestal, that they're able to like communicate with the rest of the world on this situation. Right. So like I completely understand that. When it comes to your beats and your like musical style, is there like things in your life that influence you when you're writing a beat or writing a track, or do you get influence from other songs or other artists?
I would have to say it depends on the situation. There's times where I do go on like a vacation, like I'll go to the beach for a day, and then I'll come home and I'll just write a ton of music. And then there's other times where I'll go to a concert, I'll come home and I'll just write a ton of music. It really depends. I don't try and force myself to write it, because that's when you get shit.
Yeah.
That's just what I think, because I've tried that and it doesn't work out at all. When you rush the process and you really want to get it done, it doesn't work out. But you just got to take your time with it. And my main influence is sometimes it comes from other songs, but most of the time it ends up being an original idea that I think of, because I get into it and I'm like, wait, I could totally do this. So I kind of incorporate everything.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. Well, I'll ask you, like, we generally ask the same question for the start and finish to all of our guests. So I'll ask you one of our final questions. What's one piece of advice that you would give to our listeners or your fans or whoever when it comes to taking the next step for them going into like a creative role, whether it be music or photography or filmmaking or anything like that?
First and foremost, a lot of people are going to tell you can't do it. And I've been told countless times that, like, it's an unreasonable, like, even when I was, like, 17, I remember my friend, not really my friend, he's an acquaintance now, but his mom, like, I hardly knew her, I just met her, and she said, don't you want to pay the bills when you're older? And that, it set me off in a good way, because it's kind of just like, why you got to say something like that? You're a grown-ass woman, and you have a nice-ass house. Like, you shouldn't be talking down on somebody like that. And if you do have a dream or you have something you want to do, just go for it. And you might be like, oh, I don't know if it's going to work out. It doesn't hurt until you try, because you learn from something and you grow from it in the end. So,
dude,
that's pretty much it. That's
an amazing answer. I think about, like, all the time, like, dude, I listen to death metal and I'm in a death metal band. I've been in the same death metal band since 1999 when I was in high school. Like, and all of my friends and all of, like, the people around me are like, oh, do you make money out of that? I'm like, no, I don't. But, like, I care so much about the music and I care so much about being an artist. I'd rather live in a 1-bedroom flat and be spiritually and, like, mentally free than live in a mansion with millions of dollars and just have no soul.
Right. It's the concept of, like, you know, you can work a office job. Like, I couldn't sit in an office all day and sit in a cubicle and just watch the clock go by. Like, that's just not a thing. And especially now, because you can do everything yourself, it's not worth it. Definitely. You know, why waste your life away with somebody else's opinion when you can do what you want?
Well, I completely agree with that, Cootsie. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate everything that you've been like one of the most consistent people on our Instagram, and we've really appreciated all of it, basically. What I'd like to do is you've got a couple of tracks and a couple of, like, things coming up. I'd like to talk to you again, maybe in a couple of months, and see where you're at as well. Just a bit of a bit of a full circle kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, thanks, Luke. Yeah, if you guys want to follow me,
definitely.
For the podcast, you guys can follow me on Koot-sie Official on Instagram or COUTTSSYY on Facebook, Twitter, and that's pretty much it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
Good one.
Thanks for having me, Luke.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye. Okay, that's been another episode of I Don't Have Time to Work podcast. Thanks for watching us. Make sure that you follow all of our guests and subscribe to their YouTube channel. Follow them on Instagram, all that kind of stuff. All the links will be below. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Twitch, fucking whatever we've got it all. Thank you very much for being a part of our community, and we will see you next week.